And I think we are live. Hi.
Hello, everyone.
Well, welcome, Laura.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for taking out time in the busy schedule to answer the student questions. Um, so I wanted to start off by asking, could you tell us a little bit about the course and how it came about, and what is the sort of background of it? If you can give us the history of it to our participants.
Yeah, so it's now the second run.
Yeah.
So I designed it last year or the year before even.
Yeah.
And I used to teach a regular course at VU University, English pronunciation. And previously I only had Dutch students. And then, increasingly frequently, I had more international students, and they all brought their own accent. And also in the context where English is used so widely amongst non-native speakers in the world these days, I thought, I cannot teach English pronunciation in the same way as I used to.
Yeah.
And over the years, I had accumulated all this material, videos for the course. I also made some exercise myself, but also I tried to use as much material, material that there was already. So I had collected all that, and I thought of first of writing a book on English pronunciation, but then I thought, no, it would be nice to have a MOOC.
Yeah.
And also very much so because that is a way of actually participants interacting with one another, like they do when, or that's the idea, posting their accents on one of the Padlet walls. So actually, it also provided an opportunity, the MOOC, to for people to listen to different people speaking English from all over the world.
Yeah. I find that aspect very fascinating because at least you a wall full of accent and everybody sounds different.
Yeah.
It's quite fascinating when we observe that. But thank you for that. We have lots of questions from our participants. Because I'm the mentor, I'm going to go ahead and ask my question first. I had a question that English pronunciation seems so intrinsically linked to emotions. It somehow affects our confidence levels, and there's also the involvement of fear of judgment. Most people feel scared or worried. And I'm wondering, why does English in particular have this legacy that if you can't speak it well, that you are portraying yourself in a not so good light? Would you like to discuss that a bit further?
Yes. I think it's English because it's used so widely in the world, but I think within the Netherlands, people are also assessed on the basis of their accents to some extent. And I think that it's because when you meet people for the first times in the first instance, people will evaluate other people from their appearance. I mean, that's it can't be helped, because that's the first thing that we see. It's not only the way we talk, but also the way we dress and other things. And unfortunately, there are just many stereotypes associated with accents. So therefore, I think that we're worried when speaking English, also to people that we don't know, that we will be judged on the basis of our accents. And also certainly when you're an English learner, so it's not your native language, and it's something that you have no control over in the first instance. So you cannot really control the way that you speak English. And I think that's why it's people might have fear or worry or be concerned about their English accents. And also when learning English as a non-native speaker, it's very difficult because you have your own native language. So if you haven't been taught from an early age onwards, then it's very difficult to acquire certain features. And that's because I also like that you say we also feel very proud when actually mastering a feature, because it is so difficult. And it really takes time. You cannot just learn it like that. It really needs practice, just like practicing playing the piano or running a marathon or what have you. So and that's it can be very frustrating. Also because some of the features you might not be able to hear because of the language, the background, your native language. And so it takes time, and it needs patience and perseverance. And and I think that's why we feel proud when having mastered a feature that's difficult for us.
I definitely recognize that. There's a sense of achievement when you feel that somebody's understood you reasonably well. So thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
I will move on to the student questions. We have lots of them. I've tried my best to include as many as I could. I have a question from Angelina Lau. She says, I really like this course. So thank you, Laura. I have learned so much, but I'm beginning to doubt if I will ever be able to pronounce perfectly in a British accent. It is challenging when the mispronunciation of words is something that has become so much part of my own repertoire of the language. So basically, she feels intimidated, even scared, now that she knows better the concepts of pronunciation. Would you have any advice for Angelina?
Yes, probably now that Angelina has become aware. If Angelina's watching this. Of the features or of particular concepts, so also she will now be able to recognize them in her own pronunciation. First, I was just it struck me that Angelina, you said to pronounce perfectly in British English. I think that's quite that's difficult goal to achieve.
Indeed,
and why would you want to do that perfectly?
Yeah,
I'm not sure that there is a perfect British accent, but also I would say in the beginning. I also have that with my find that with my regular students that because there are so many concepts, it's overwhelming in the first instance, and you cannot. It's difficult to remember it all at the same time. But I would say just step by step. And to not aim too high or try to be too perfect in speaking English, but just take it slowly and one concept at the time. Awareness is always the process of first to become aware of it in the first instance. That is already an achievement, and then there's this all these concepts and features and how you're going to apply all of this. And you cannot do it at once, and you should not try to do that because it's very frustrating. And but then just take it one step at the time, and also think about. And of course, if Angelina, if you would like to acquire a perfect British accent, that is, a perfectly good aim. But maybe also to think, does it have to be perfect, and what is perfect?
Of course. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question from Franca Schiavo. And Franca says, she says, hi, my name is Franca. I'm an English teacher from Italy. I have a private language school. And her question is, all my life, I've been faced with the fact that though I believe I am bilingual, the majority of learners in this country regard non-native speakers or teachers as second best in many ways. I disagree with this view, and luckily things are changing somewhat in this respect. And following up with that, Andrea Passeri also writes, I've faced similar attitudes throughout my professional life. And she says that I would argue that sounding as English as possible in the context of living abroad might come across rather fake to a trained ear. What do you think? How do you feel about this, Laura, that if you're non-native and you even attempt to be a teacher of the English language, you're somehow perceived as not being good enough?
Franca and Andrea. I think the first thing maybe for you to know is that I've been at I was at a conference some years ago. It was about English pronunciation teaching, all about this subject. And actually, many teachers, English teachers, they don't want to teach pronunciation, or they're worried because they don't have like a native English accent. So I think that you are an English teacher and teaching English pronunciation is very brave already, a brave thing to do. I also don't have a native English accent, and of course, when you're in a room full of students, and what do they see you as a model, obviously, and what will they expect from you? And I think, you should. The best thing to do is to be open from the beginning and tell them what your personal view on pronunciation, and say to them, I don't have like a native British or American English pronunciation, but if that's what they would like to hear, then you can offer them tools or videos, but to indicate to them what you think is important in English pronunciation and what your views are, and then then they know who they're dealing with.
To make it explicit.
Make it explicit, and to not try to to be like the teacher the non-native speaker who speaks native English, because that's a very hard thing to do. And also I think it's very brave, because I know that many teachers don't teach pronunciation, that they try to avoid it. And I would also like to say to them that I know that frequently native speakers of English are being hired as English teachers, and they might have the native accent, but doesn't necessarily mean that they are good teachers.
Exactly.
Or that they have the tools to actually or the knowledge to develop pronunciation in their students. And I think that presumably many of your students, at least that's with my students, that when I start teaching the course, that actually many of them are relieved.
Absolutely. Right? I definitely recognize that. It's far less intimidating and scary.
You have to create a safe environment first, I think, where everybody feels appreciated and not being worried about having not a particular English accent. So I would agree with what they say. It is highly valued. That's certainly true. But that's what I would recommend. And I fully agree with some of the things they were saying.
Thank you for that, Laura. The next question comes from Helen Limmer. Helen has been a very, very active learner on the course. She says, I find the previous rhotic and non-rhotic exercise absolutely fascinating. She's really enjoyed the course. And she was wondering that how does age affect pronunciation? Does it get harder to learn the older you get? And she was really looking at getting some scientific evidence or theory regarding the age and pronunciation factor. And I think you're the best person to answer this question.
It certainly is the case. It's known that it's more difficult to acquire a particular pronunciation when you get older.
Yes.
It's not only with pronunciation, it's regarding other language skills also. To learn another language, we know that it's difficult.
Yeah.
And it's in linguistics, so there are indeed theories why it's more difficult to learn a language when you're older, and there's a name for it. It's called the critical period theory, Helen. And it's there. Yeah, if you Google this, it's by a linguist called Eric Lennenberg, who has developed this theory. And the basic idea is that certain functions within our brain also, they're set in particular ways. And this lasts until we're around 14. So this is thought to be the critical age for learning a language. So before the age of 14, it is more natural. And our native languages do not get in the way so much. And after the age of 14, it becomes more difficult.
So Helen, I hope that answers your question. We move on to Catherine Rumea, who's asked a question which is a two-part question, So she wants to improve her rhotic accent. She wants to work on her intelligibility and credibility. And she's wondering whether I have to work. I don't speak English every day. That's an information she's offered. And I'm not good with developing myself by myself. And she's wondering if she needs to study English grammar for the best pronunciation. Are those two things interlinked, and which one should have more weightage?
Okay, so which is more should have priority?
I think so. I think what she wants to say is, like, I guess when you are learning a language that's not your native language, you can focus on one given thing at any point in time. And I think what Catherine's looking for to wonder, should I look at the grammar more, or should I look at pronunciation, and whether the two things impact each other?
I actually find, I think it's a difficult question.
It is.
I think it's maybe how to what's the best way of learning, or the best approach. Maybe I just need more time to think about this. I think with the grammar, maybe you can separate the two by pronunciations of obviously more related to speaking than to writing. So maybe but
still, like, I think that grammar does affect your credibility to some level. Like if you're making more mistakes while speaking, then I wonder whether that part will get affected. So it's a very tricky question.
Yeah, I know from research that has been done is that it's been argued that so for speakers to be so they ask informants to listen to different speakers, and one so some having a particular pronunciation and some having like a, let's say, non-native grammar, and that generally it was found that speakers with a different kind of pronunciation were more difficult to understand than speakers who had whose pronunciation was fine but had a different kind of grammar. So that would suggest that pronunciation is important. But to say which one
more,
is it's difficult. I think.
Indeed. So Catherine, hopefully that throws some light on the topic. Maybe it doesn't give you one answer, but it just opens up the field a little bit for you to discover maybe personally what is your preference towards, maybe one is easier for you than the other. And my instinct as somebody, a non-native speaker, would be to focus on what comes easier, just to get more sort of acclimatized to the topic. We have Ashraful Islam, who has written lovely comments that we've really enjoyed reading. And he thinks you're amazing, Laura. He gives you many compliments throughout. And he had a particular question about his students. So he has these students, and he was wondering if it's inappropriate if I teach the students the standard British accent and then keep giving hints about American accent as well. Or should one be like a purist and say, okay, this is British, so we stick to that, and maybe the students get confused with another accent. How would you tackle this question?
No, I think that he so himself personally prefers the British accent. But I think it's perfectly fine to take one accent as a model. Or as a model, perhaps not the right word, but as a reference. Because I think you cannot teach. I mean, obviously, you cannot teach all accents at the same time. So you have to start from somewhere. And also in my classes myself, so I start from, because I'm more used to British English than American English. If it would have been the other way around, I would have taken American English as a model. But I start from there, and then you can indeed from there point out differences or variation in relation to other accents. What I do find important is that what I say to my own students is that British English, it is an important model because it's used widely in education, and it's no, full stop. It's used widely in education there, so it's an important model. And this is what I say to my students also. But then I point out to them that at least from a linguistic point of view, that it's not, doesn't mean to say that is the most correct or the most sophisticated model. So I think that's important when you take one accent as a model to indicate or to demonstrate to the students that this doesn't mean that this is the best one there is.
No, that should really help you, Ashraful, formulate what you would like to do. I mean, it also depends on your personal style, I feel like, how comfortable you are. We have Eduardo Morlan, who again has been a really active participant, has written wonderful things, and he's asked several questions which we have answered in the comment section, but he particularly asked that rheticity was a very important piece of information that has been overlooked in all the regular courses in the market, implying with this that they have a commercial rather than an academic approach. Thank you very much. Thank you, Laura, for making us familiar with this important part of the language. Again, and as a result of this, a course of phonetics would be a good idea in order to consolidate what we are learning here and to improve the way we communicate. So, of course, Eduardo has a lovely way of writing. He sends us lots of blessings. So I think he's trying to address. He's very sweet. He of course addresses a larger issue. Why is rheticity not so well known as a concept? And would you be willing to have more courses on FutureLearn and expand the subject list right now?
why it's not so well known. I also like the concept very much, because it's it's a feature that really divides English accents all over the world, but also helps us understand the way that people speak, because it's got such an historical background. And this is why I include it. And this is what I've tried to do in the course also, as much as I can, for people to understand. So to not only learn how things are being pronounced, features are being pronounced in different accents, but to also understand why that is the case. So for historical reasons, but also for reasons of transfer from your own native language. And why it's not covered in other courses, I think maybe in pure pronunciation courses, because the thing is that you cannot really be wrong, right? Go wrong regarding rhoticity, because there are native accents that are rhotic and there are native accents that are non-rhotic. So from that point of view, if there are courses that really aim for people to have a native English accent, it can be either. And then maybe those courses are focused more on what are known to be errors that non-native speakers make. And you cannot, in that sense, make an error regarding rhoticity. And it also depends, I don't know, the timeline of the other courses. Maybe they don't have time to go, to provide all that background.
True.
But it's something that I enjoy myself very much.
Me too. It's fascinating as a topic. Eduardo has another question, and this question has a complaint also, Laura.
Okay.
So he says the most important and interesting, remarkable thing that I learned this week is the commitment of the educators, as well as the deep involvement focusing on a neglected topic, which is crucial and does not appear in textbooks. Then he says, I also learned details of pronunciation that I've not previously noticed, and that helps me now to give a better sound to what I say in English. So he's thanked all of us profusely, and he sends his very best wishes from Mexico City. And then there is the complaint. Laura, he says, this week was especially hard, Laura, because of the huge amount of topics to be covered. I hope that the course might be extended to 6 weeks in order to have a better balance of time and knowledge gotten. And then he says, thanks. And so Eduardo wants an expansion of subjects as well as an expansion in time. But I also noticed that he would really like to download all the audio files and everything. So he's been struggling with that and how to extend it. I did let him know that he could pay on the FutureLearn platform and have access to it. But would you consider extending the course to 6 weeks? Would that be something?
I would like to thank Eduardo for his feedback, because it's very useful for us to know. And he might like to hear that actually the course was originally meant to be 6 weeks, to have a length of 6 weeks. So I perfectly agree. And it is because I was then advised to just have the course for 4 weeks, because for some people it's just too long, 6 weeks to,
I can imagine, to invest in time wise, right?
So that's the only reason why it has become 4 weeks. And I agree, it's a lot of information to have it all in 4 weeks. And so the alternative option is to have less.
No, we can't do that.
That would be an option, or to provide links to, because now obviously all the material is within the FutureLearn environment, but to maybe provide links where so that learners can use to then access those videos and materials following the course. But you already told him, right, that he can, the course is still open?
Yes, for 6 weeks it is definitely open, and he'll have access to it. I mean, this is for all learners and participants on the platform. The course is open for 6 weeks, and post 6 weeks, for a not so large a fee, you can have access to it for a longer term till the course is online on FutureLearn. So they do have that option. So hopefully, Eduardo, this answers your question and addresses your complaint to us.
And the one last thing I would like to say about this is that I can perfectly understand, Eduardo, that I agree that it is a lot of material for 4 weeks, and that also hopefully I think that I hope that once the course has ended, that you can just there's not more, and then try to to slowly process all the information.
Maybe go through the week structurally. You could keep repeating the same thing again and again after the course is over as well, till you get the hang of it. Moving forward to Sandra Urego. Sandra has a question that says, thanks for this opportunity for asking these questions. Thank you, Laura, for making time for the students. When you mentioned pronunciation features, so she wants to know which pronunciation features should be taken into account as a minimum. So I suppose there are many, but which, according to you, Laura, are the most important? So really wants to narrow down the topic as to the must-dos.
Yeah. So it depends a little on your native language, I think.
Right. Yeah.
So which features to focus on, and also so in the course, of course, there are many, and also what kind of accent you're aiming for. But so in the course, this is why I try to make the distinction between features that are important for communication, for understanding one another, and for what we have called a credibility.
Yes.
So this is and then maybe there are other features that are not that are known, at least that research hasn't shown, that play a role in either intelligibility or credibility, and so I would save those for last.
Right.
So I would, Sandra, go back to the course, and there's, I believe it's in the first step, all of the 4 weeks, where there's an overview of what features are play a role or are known to play a role in intelligibility and which don't, and to start with those features.
Right. That's an excellent tip for you, Sandra. I think if you just go and look at the first part of every week, then that you'll find the information there. Now, moving on to Martina Perron. Martina says, I really enjoyed this course. I mean, thank you, Laura. It's been interesting and useful. I'll keep working on improving my pronunciation, but she finds it difficult to pronounce words containing certain clusters like nature, temperature, and mostly all words containing TR. So how could I improve such pronunciation? Thank you for your advice. So would there be any particular tip for Martina for her focus words like nature, temperature?
So thank you for the question, Martina. It's known to be difficult for some non-native speakers clusters. And in week 3, there is one of the steps. It's specifically about these kind of consonant clusters.
Right.
And so consisting of 2 or 3 or more consonants. And I would suggest that she
have a look at those.
Have a look at those.
So week 3 consonant clusters, Martina, and lots of practice. There's no other way around it. We have another question. We're almost at the end of the questions. So this is from Jessie Gutierrez Orueta. And she says, I just want to thank people who work hard to develop this course. It helps people around the world. Thank you so much. Carmen Fernandez, she says, I absolutely agree with you. And Ramasamy Arumugan says, I do take this opportunity to express my sincere thanks to the organizer and tutors of this course. So thank you so much, Laura. And considering this course is so appreciated, I wanted to for you to share some of the challenges that are involved in the course of making such a course. And I'm sure students would love to know what is the planning and what's the sort of what happens on the other side to enable such a course to take place.
So I would like to thank all these people for their nice feedback. And it's very I feel very happy to hear this, because you design a course the best you can, and then you just hope that it is useful to people. And also I like it, we said this in the beginning, that people from different parts in the country can join. So it was quite a job designing the course. Although I had taught pronunciation before, so I had the structure and the materials. But I think the challenges were, first of all, there's people people have so many different language backgrounds. So to make sure that people that the course was useful to everyone, no matter what their background might be, their language background. And this is also why I appreciate that some people send in comments in my version of English. I do this and this and this, because all of this input I can use. Because obviously I cannot have an overview of all of the features that people have in their English. So that was one challenge to make sure that the course is useful to everyone. And then also I would like with pronunciation, I would like the course to be as interactive as possible. So we build in tools for people like the Padlet wall to upload their accents and to and I think FutureLearn is a nice platform good platform for people to interact. And but then with some of these tools, online tools, it's like will it work or will it not work, and will it work within the platform? So that was we had to look for the most robust tools, and also tools that are accessible all over the world, because it's not necessarily the case. So that was one of the challenges also. And the last one, and we tried to do it the best way we could. Obviously the best way, really, I think the best way is for people to have personal feedback on their pronunciation. But with so many learners, that's not possible. So there's advantages to MOOC, but also disadvantages. And so we try to build in this peer review tool where people. So actually, we hope that you, during the course, you will become familiar with so many of the concepts that actually you're able to peer review other people's accents. And also via your comments we try to give feedback, but I think that's still a major challenge.
I can understand that. I also noticed when you mentioned the technology part that many of our learners access it on their mobile phones. That is a challenge, and especially when it comes to browser issues, you know. So it's very important that if you cannot access a particular link, try it on another browser. We also noticed that certain YouTube videos are not available in certain regions because of copyright issues. So those are the sort of challenges when you have something that's universal for everybody, you know. And we really appreciate your patience in this, that you are willing to sort of experiment with the tools and then see how it works.
And also to also give us feedback on this. And we had I have to say about the FutureLearn platform also that a lot of the material that we first had in the course, they were from FutureLearn. They said, because they're very good at this, to say no, it should be really accessible to everyone. And so we have also a designed alternatives for people who cannot access some of the exercises. And with the YouTube videos, it's we will also try to replace those, but sometimes you're just looking for one particular feature, and then to try to find that in a video, it's sometimes difficult as it is.
Imagine,
you cannot find the same feature as so clearly expressed or demonstrated in another video, and that's why I then prefer to stick with the video that maybe not everyone can access now in the first instance, but as soon as I find, or maybe one of the learners finds a similar video that shows that feature.
I greatly enjoy that when learners, when you all send these sort of videos in which are correlated to what we are talking about. It's fascinating to watch those. So thank you for that. This is the last question, and I wanted to have something of a positive twist to it. And this is from Aka. And Aka says, this has been an exceptional course that exceeded all expectations. Quite often, courses are more like rituals, where participation is weak and course management is passive and course structure and process unambitious. But on this course, he writes, everything has been the opposite. Excellent and demanding course and methodology, active participants, and a particularly active facilitator and mentor, as me, who created in collaboration with participants around an active online community. Well, that's our job, which is an exceptional achievement. Thank you, Anka.
Yes,
it has been great to be part of this unusual learning process and community. Thank you to Freie Universität and all of us. And to you, Laura. I mean, thank you. Thank you for enabling so many people across the world to have access to this. It's pretty incredible. Right? So thank you for that. Would you like to share with us like a goodbye message? Because this is our final week with our learners, right?
True. Yeah.
So
so I would like to say that I'm very I'm very touched, and it makes me very happy that that the course is useful to many people. Still, it's just it's a course that is on an online platform, and I think it's also very much the learners themselves who have made the course work, because if nobody is uploading anything or nobody's commenting, then it will be just a dead course. So I wanted to as a goodbye message, I wanted to thank you, everyone, very much for being such great participants, interactive. And also, Amrita, I wanted to ask you, thank you. Yes, because I know that you have been facilitating and managing and looking after everyone, and that is it's really a skill or a gift. I think.
Thank you. So
it really
much.
is a gift.
It's a pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure.
And therefore, everyone should also know that I have asked Amrita especially because I knew that she would be the best.
Oh,
yeah.
Don't.
And I think she is. And I hope that that everyone will. At least. So my final message: don't expect to be able to incorporate everything from the course.
Yeah. Sorry, we are live, so we keep getting messages. Yeah. Sorry.
And so that I hope that you will also following this course, so that you can still use the tools to develop your accent.
Right.
And the next run will be in the spring of next year.
So if you want to join in again, you're very welcome to join us again on another adventure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us today on the live session. We hope that you found it useful. We welcome you to the next session. Thank you, Laura. And we would like to say goodbye to you now.
Yeah, goodbye, everyone. Bye.